Weimar Republic was established, a lot of famous architects had come into play, such as Walter Gropius, Kurt Weill, and Bertolt Brecht. New architectural designs brought on by the cultural and societal ideas, especially modernism and modern architecture. The new designs had challenged the traditions of architecture. In 1919, Walter Gropius found the famous Bauhaus School for Architecture. At this new school, Gropius taught that art should work with the new technology and that there should be functional designs in these buildings. A new term was created in 1923, which really helped develop the whole concept of architecture and art itself. It was called New Objectivity. It was a reaction against Expressionism, and Expressionism was a bunch of events that took place in 1920s Germany. One of the most famous buildings which had helped develop architecture in the Weimar was the Bauhaus. It was a German art school that combined crafts and fine arts. What made it so famous? There are many art schools out there. Well, this one was famous for the approach to design that it publicized and taught. Most of the time in Germany, people would mainly care about making the buildings look beautiful but not very useful. But the whole aim for Walter to create this whole school was to create this visionary utopian object that would combine with looking aesthetic and also being very useful. The term Bauhaus itself meant construction house. Even though the founder of it was an architect, it didn't have an architecture department during its first years of existence. Ironic. It was found with the idea of creating a total work of art in which all arts, including architecture, would eventually be brought together. The Bauhaus style later became one of the most influential buildings in modern design, modernist architecture. The Bauhaus aimed to expand their influence by designing many household items as well, such as clocks, kitchenware, furniture. The common theme was that they could be easily mass-produced and relatively simplistic. This was a huge shift from other products that were on the market at the time, which were very ornate and expensive. In the next 2 years, there were major commissions, and there was a large impact on the city of Dessau for 5 tightly designed apartment buildings with balcony access, which are still used today. The Bauhaus was now in control of another architect, Mayer, not Walter anymore, and his approach was to research users' needs and scientifically develop the design solution. A form of architecture that was introduced due to the Bauhaus was Expressionist architecture, which was introduced in the first decades of the 20th century, and this was especially developed and dominated in Germany. The reason that Expressionism architecture was so present in the Weimar was because Expressionism found strong resonances with an artistic community that was keen to provide answers to its society that was going through so much trauma during and after the events of World War I. They used Expressionism architecture as a way to cheer people up. For example, use bright colors to paint their buildings. It sounds pretty dumb, but it did work. And the deprivations, rise of social democracy, and the optimism of the Weimar Republic did create some reluctance amongst architects. So they were very demotivated to actually pursue projects and build buildings, as some artists or architects were very against Ebert. They had decided not to pursue projects, and since architecture is a form of art and an outlet to express yourself, the artists that were very against Ebert, I guess, would make their buildings very unaesthetic. They wouldn't use bright colors, the designs would be pretty dull, whereas artists that had agreed with the whole concept that Ebert had created, they would portray their buildings as very aesthetic and very beautiful.